So first, I'll go ahead and start with my first paragraph or two, um, and they will be talking about Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, and they'll be comparing and contrasting the two of them in terms of idea development and voice, and we'll be specifically looking at them within how other characters view them, as well as their appearance within their given text. Mr. Hyde will be looking at him in the first chapter, and Dr. Jekyll in the third. Um, so we'll go ahead and start off with Mr. Hyde. So Mr. Hyde is immediately described as very displeasing to one's own eyes, as well as he is also detestable. Uh, just by simply looking at his outward appearance, one can see him as this ugly, hateable man. He is described as being deformed and um, just not liked in any manner or sense. And this is in direct contrast to the large, smooth faced, uh, well made man of Dr. Jekyll that people tend to like. And this really helps with the idea development between good and evil, because Mr. Hyde, who is evil, is looked at as this ugly character, almost spitting in the face of evil and saying that the good way is what's pleasing and beautiful to society. And that would be represented in Dr. Jekyll. Um, it's also very keen as to Dr. Jekyll's profession, and it's that of science and technology. So this could potentially be viewed as a lot better um, and more productive to society. Therefore, he is viewed as this very positive, beautiful man, as opposed to Mr. Hyde, who is nearly a manifestation of Dr. Jekyll. So the next thing we'll be looking at is how other characters view the two. Other characters, as in Mr. Utterson, who is in the text and is depicting the two within the novel. So in chapter 1, Mr. Hyde is said to, Mr. Utterson says, I never saw a man so disliked. He's simply saying this man is just so awful that I immediately dislike him. There's no dialogue between this two. There's no direct interaction between the two within this first chapter, but there is an immediate dislike between Mr. Utterson and Mr. Hyde. This is also in a direct contrast to Dr. Jekyll, because Mr. Utterson says, I have been wanting to speak to you. Simply saying, he wants to go talk about his will, and he's saying, I wanted to talk to you. I've been looking for you. I've wanted to find you. And this is in direct contrast to Mr. Hyde, because Mr. Utterson would never want to do that to Mr. Hyde. He never wants to have a conversation with him. And that's why he wants to talk to Dr. Jekyll, because he's trying to make sure that Dr. Jekyll actually likes Mr. Hyde and will be willing to put him in his will. Mr. Utterson is also the man that says that Dr. Jekyll is well-made, smooth-faced, this large, great man. And all the characters in the book really revere Dr. Jekyll and who he is as a person and who he is as a man, as opposed to Mr. Hyde, who they simply would rather see dead. They just simply hate him. Now, because these two are completely different in nature, one is Mr. Hyde represents the evil in Dr. Jekyll, in that he has no control and he would just go out and murder someone just simply because he doesn't like them at a certain time or because he just enjoys it. As Dr. Jekyll is the good in man, and he'll just he's trying to promote science and the good of man, and so these two are very hard to compare. But I think there is some comparison that can be made at the end of the dialogue between Mr. Utterson and Dr. Jekyll in chapter 3, in that when the nature of Hyde is brought up to Dr. Jekyll, he becomes like black-eyed around the face, and his tone immediately drops, and the voice is completely changed. And at that moment, you can see a deep comparison between Mr. Hyde and Dr. Jekyll's voices, in that they both kind of have this hate and doubt of other people. And I think that's only seen in Dr. Jekyll when Mr. Hyde is brought up, and that could partially be because the nature inside Dr. Jekyll is brought out. The evil in him is brought out when Hyde is mentioned, and that could possibly have something to do with it. or it's the fact that they're the same person. But I think the voice of these two characters, although you can't necessarily see Hyde speaking, I think they're probably both very different, unless Dr. Jekyll is speaking of Hyde. And in that case, they're both kind of this detestable, ugly, unliked voice. I think the voice of the author in this text is basically aligning with the other characters in the text, in that he likes Dr. Jekyll and approves of him, as he hates Mr. Hyde. And I think that's seen throughout the text, and especially in the two excerpts that I looked at. With that being said, I think that kind of brings me to a close in chapter 1, as I have kind of analyzed and compared and contrasted the idea development and the voice between Mr. Hyde and Dr. Jekyll, as seen in how other characters view him, as well as the direct appearance described by the author. With that being said, I'll be reading my poem to you. I don't necessarily know the best way to read it to you. I'll hold up this blue pen when I'm describing Dr. Jekyll, and this pink pen when I'm describing Mr. Hyde. So we'll go. I love life. I love taking life. It is so beautiful. I am so ugly. Every day is an opportunity for new growth in science. Every night is an opportunity for the world to meet Hyde. But I am dying. I'm coming alive. Read my will. See my new life. Here comes Hyde. Goodbye, Jekyll. We are one. Thank you.